Hey, if you're interested in making a podcast of your own, I wanted to be sure to let you know that Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and distribute it everywhere, plus even earn money. It's all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating as soon as today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else that podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, so that's pretty cool. And with Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, like I said, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like it's just really helped me take my podcast to a whole other level. And I highly recommend that you give it a try as well if this is something you've ever thought about doing. Just download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com// podcasters to get started right now. Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. Well, the holidays are upon us again, and as the wife of an alcoholic, that might give you a lot of anxiety. A lot of our husbands tend to ramp up their drinking during this time of year, and of course, that coupled with all of the family gatherings can really just bring a lot of stress into our lives, on top of all the normal stress we have in our lives. So I wanted to invite you today to join us in the Secret Sister Circle. It has now reopened for signups. It was closed all the way back from September 1st until now. You could not sign up. It was not open to the public. It is now. I would love to have you join us, especially right now, because there are some lessons in there that are for this time of year specifically. There is a lesson on what to do during the holidays. There is a lesson on how to handle toxic behavior during the holidays. There is a lesson on the best New Year's resolutions for the wife of an alcoholic, things that are specifically geared towards this time of year and you as the wife of an alcoholic. So I would absolutely love to have you join us in the Secret Sister Circle. It is my coaching group for wives of alcoholics. There is so much more to it. If you don't know about it yet, or you don't really remember much about it, please head to my website, marriedtoaddiction.com, and click on the programs drop down. You will see the Secret Sister Circle there. You can learn a whole lot more about it, hear or read some testimonials, and please then prayerfully consider joining us, especially as we come into the holidays, because I think it could make a big difference for you. I hope to see you there. Hello, and welcome into episode 85 of the Married to Addiction podcast. This episode is called Put Your Mask On First. And it was inspired by a member in the Secret Sister Circle, which is my group coaching program for wives of alcoholics, who recently posted in that private group about how much her life had changed since she essentially put her mask on first. Her post was so moving that I wanted to do an episode on this because it is so critically important. And just hearing her list out the myriad of ways that her life had changed for the better since she put her mask on first was just so wonderful to hear. So I want to share this topic with you today with the analogy of putting your mask on first. But real quick, before we get to that, since I did mention the Secret Sister Circle, I wanted to let you know, in case you missed it on the last episode, that it is now reopen for new signups. So you can join the Secret Sister Circle again. It is open right now to do so. I do encourage you to join now before the end of the year, because the price is going to increase for new members in the new year. Now, if you're already a member, you are always grandfathered in for whatever price you started at for the duration of the membership. So it goes up a little bit for new members because the content grows and grows and grows as time goes on because I put all kinds of new lessons and stuff in there. But whatever price you join at is the price that you stay at. So if you have been thinking about that, it is the perfect time to join. Also, I just completely revamped the members area in there to make it incredibly easy to use. It's easier than ever to use. It just really is the perfect time to join. And it teaches you, everything in there teaches you in detail how to put your mask on first. But I did want to touch on this subject here today on the podcast too, because like I said, I had just seen this post about how her life had changed for the better. And I have seen it so many times before. So I just wanted to use this time to talk about what it means to put your mask on first, quote unquote, why it's so important, how it can help us, etc. So first of all, let's talk about what does it mean? Well, of course, this phrase comes from when you're on an airplane. They tell you if the cabin pressure drops and the oxygen masks fall down in front of you, if you have somebody next to you that needs assistance, a child, an older person, etc., you want to make sure that you put your mask on before you help them. Because if you lose oxygen and go unconscious while you're trying to help them, you're not going to be much help at all. So that's kind of where that terminology comes from. And I'm sure you're familiar with that, but I just wanted to go over, kind of the origin of that. So what does putting our mask on first mean for us as wives of alcoholics? Well, same with if you cannot physically help somebody on an airplane because you have lost oxygen and you can't breathe. You can't breathe in your life if you are tied to your husband's addiction and not caring for yourself or doing anything for yourself or focusing on yourself at all. So for us, we get to the point where we can't breathe either. We feel like we're suffocating in our life. We feel like we're drowning in our husband's addiction. And we can't breathe, just like you can't when you're on an airplane if you don't put your mask on first. Why is it so important that we do this or that we learn to put our mask on first? Well, of course, if we can't breathe, then we can't do much else. We're no good to ourselves. We're no good to our kids who are dealing with the fallout of, being in the household with an alcoholic parent. We can have health issues that start to crop up, which I totally did. And at first, I didn't even realize, well, for a long time, actually, I didn't even realize that my health issues that I was having were stress related based on the fact that I was drowning in my husband's addiction. I truly thought that the hives that I had covering my body for months on end that I found out eventually were stress-induced hives were not from that. I was like, what is it with the detergent? Do I need to switch detergents? Do I have, an allergy to something else? Like, what's going on? Well, of course, you've probably heard me say before, when my husband got sober, the hives went bye-bye. So clearly that was stress related. And I looked it up after the fact, like, can hives, like chronic hives, be stress related? And yes, they can. And that was just one of the ways that it affected my health. It affected in other ways too. So that's obviously a big problem. We can also have issues at our job because we can't focus, or I used to make excuses to leave early so I could check up on my husband and, see what he was doing and, try to get home and stop him from drinking and all of those things that I used to do. So it is critically important for us to do this. And how exactly can putting our mask on first help us? Well, it can alleviate a lot of those things that I just talked about. When we learn to put our mask on first and focus on the things that we can change, it changes everything. It changes everything in our lives. Now, it may not make your husband get in the car and go to the treatment center. It may not. However, when we start making changes that come with putting our mask on first, i.e. boundaries and detachment and all of those things that I know you've heard me talk about a million times, those things can, and I have seen this happen in a number of cases, those things can influence recovery eventually. So that can happen. But the main thing is, I want you to understand how immensely it can help you. If you feel like your life is completely out of control, and if you feel like you can't breathe, and if you feel like you are constantly drowning, you must put your mask on first. Maybe you don't see the value in this right now. I know I didn't. I thought that is a dumb concept. I really did. When I started hearing about, well, you need to go to Al-Anon and you need to do this and you need to do that. I was like, that is ridiculous. I am not the one with the problem. I should not be the one to have to make any changes. And I remember being super defiant about that. So if you're there, I get it. I was there too. But let me tell you, I'm real upset with myself that I stayed in that place as long as I did, because I went through so much destruction and heartache and hopelessness and sorrow, and I could go on in my life because I was resistant to that I want to save you from some of that. The amount of time that you will stay in that place will be equal to the amount of time that you decide, when you continue to decide that you don't need to do anything and that you don't need to put your mask on first. So please hear me when I tell you how important this is. Maybe you think it sounds too hard. It might seem way too overwhelming to try to take anything on. You may feel like, well, I can't go to meetings. I remember telling myself that too. I can't go to meetings. I have a child at home. And I remember looking for something online because I wanted to be able to do something in the privacy of my home where I wouldn't run into somebody that I knew at an Al-Anon meeting, where I could, be here with my son still, et cetera, et cetera. So I started looking for something like that and couldn't find it that was Christian-based or that was faith-based. And that is exactly how Married to Addiction and the Secret Sister Circle specifically was born. So if it sounds too hard to you to do that, I want you to know that I have designed a lot of the things that I've created, well, really all of the things that I've created to help you, all the way from the podcast, which you can put in earbuds in your ears and listen privately whenever you want, to the Secret Sister Circle, which really takes you by the hand and walks you through this process in the privacy of your home on your own schedule, to be exactly for the person that I was back then when I was too scared to go out of the house and ask for help. And I felt like it was too overwhelming to try to do that. The other thing I want you to hear, if you feel like that sounds too hard, trying to do anything for yourself, any work for yourself, any help for yourself, it is nowhere near as hard as how you are living right now. I'm going to say that again. Getting help for yourself is nowhere near as hard as how you're living right now if you can't breathe and you are drowning in your husband's addiction. So please do what you can do to get that mask on. Either go to an Al-Anon meeting, or as I said, if you need help, the Secret Sister Circle is always there for you. And if you want to learn more or join, all you have to do is go to marriedtoaddiction.com. You will see a drop down for programs and you can click on the Secret Sister Circle right there. We would love to have you join us. It is a group of warm, wonderful, amazing, encouraging women just like you who are Christian wives of alcoholics. You get tons of coaching and help from me, and we would love to welcome you in and help you put that mask on. But even if you don't choose to join us there, do what you can do to get some help for yourself. You have to put your mask on first. I hope that's been helpful for you. As always, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Hey, one more quick thing before I let you go today. Do you follow Married to Addiction on either Instagram or Facebook, or both? If not, I would love to have you join me over there. It's a great place to stay connected with everything that's happening with Married to Addiction. I post updates about my podcast episodes, of course. I post about my freebies. I post about my programs. I post encouragement in the way of Bible verses and things like that. I also post just like some helpful little teaching nuggets sometimes too. So I really think that you would get a lot of value out of that as the wife of an alcoholic. And I would love to have you join me on either Facebook or Instagram, or both. You can find me at facebook.com/marriedtoaddiction or just at married to addiction on Instagram. I hope to see you there.